Welcome guys. The year passed, he hosted good role-playing, RPG, style. In this video, we review the best games of this genre in 2021. One of the most popular styles of the gaming industry that attracts a lot of gamers every year is role-playing style or RPG. In recent years, we have seen that many of the world's famous franchises have been reborn by adding role-playing elements. The obvious examples of this are games such as Assassin's Creed or God of War, which in their last versions have distanced themselves from their roots and provided deeper and even more attractive gameplay to the audience by adding role-playing mechanisms. This became more pronounced in the 8th generation and we saw more games with role-playing elements. One of the factors that makes role-playing style one of the most extensive styles of the gaming industry is the practical freedom it gives to the manufacturer and gamer. Every year, many games are produced with role-playing labels that are not similar in practice. For example, put titles such as Undertale, Witcher 3 and Disco Elysium side by side. All three games fall into the category of role-playing, but they are very different games. Alongside this, there is talk of progressing and acquiring new skills in most role-playing games that makes you addicted to gameplay. The element of choice is also more pronounced in the RPG style than other styles, and, well, who doesn't like to choose? The year 2021 is coming to an end, and since we know that you loved ones, like me, are very interested in role-playing games, today we are going to introduce you to a selection of the best games of this genre that have been released this year. If you miss a good role-playing role, you can take a chance to play the games listed in this video and experience a good time. I will no longer make any more introductions and invite you to follow the video with me. Marvel's Guardians of Galaxy. Perhaps the coming of the name of the game in a video about the best role-playing games is strange for many, because it is commonly referred to as an adventure action game. But the elements of the role of this game are so high that with a little bit of RFAQ we can mention its name in this video as well. Plus, the game is so well built and engaging that I personally would love to see its name in any video. When the game was introduced, almost everyone doubted that the final result would be so good and clean. The reason for the company's previous play was Marvel's Avengers, which left a disappointing performance despite the high hype surrounding it. But after the release of Guardians of the Galaxy, we really saw that the creators paid attention to the game's feedback and prepared a title worthy of Marvel's name. The fact is that the game caught many gamers by surprise with their cool gameplay, beautiful artistic design and attractive characters, and was able to accommodate its name among the best games of 2021. If you're interested in the Marvel universe, but you're skeptical about the game's preparation, I suggest you put that doubt aside and give it a try. Guardians of the Galaxy is a great game. Bravely Default 2. Allaying that Bravely Default 2 may not be much known to many of you. Fans of classic Japanese role-playing, JRPG, are familiar with the name. Bravely Default's world is largely inspired by the famous Final Fantasy franchise and is an awesome and good role-playing. Of course, this is if you enjoy Japanese game graphics and role-playing style, otherwise Bravely Default 2 won't be able to attract you. Alongside the good gameplay that bears a lot of resemblance to Final Fantasy gameplay, Bravely Default 2 has an epic and profound story that can impress you. Many JRPG proponents see the game as the best role-playing title this year, which is quite understandable by looking at the overall quality of the game. Shin Megami Tensei B. If you have a Nintendo Switch, one of the best role-playing games you can experience on this handheld console is Shin Megami Tensei B. The game, created by renowned franchise developer Persona, bears many similarities to the series, and at first glance, its artistic design is similar to that of the game. Atlas Studio games are really well crafted and engaging, and the Shin Megami Tensei B's Meta 85 is also a testament to this. Shin Megami Tensei's new version has come back with a powerful storyline to prove that the success of previous games in the series was no coincidence, and the series still has a lot to say. In addition, the gameplay of the game has also improved a lot compared to the past, and the addition of mechanisms such as fast travel have given the game a new dimension. All in all, if you are interested in the Persona series, be sure to include this game in your shopping list as well. Scarlet Nexus. Western companies may not have produced many games in the role-playing style this year, but Japanese companies have been as active as ever, and most of the games we've ever introduced have been JRPG. The Scarlet Nexus game is no exception, and we are dealing with another good JRPG title. The game's creator is the renowned Bandai Namco company, which had already proved its merit by making or releasing very important games in this genre such as Tales series, Code Vein and Dark Souls. Scarlet Nexus combines games such as Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, which has attracted the attention of many fans of classic Japanese role-playing with its anime-cheeked appearance. Fast and glamorous gameplay of the game alongside the range of skills and choices that Scarlet Nexus brings before you. This makes the game one of the best role-playing titles of this year. The game is available on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X and PCs, and the meta of the game, which represents the number 80, is proof that the game is worth experiencing. Darkest Dungeon 2. The first game of the Darkest Dungeon series was a great game that received positive feedback from gamers and media companions. This led the game's creators, Red Hook Studios and Sickhead Games, to market the second version with little change. Many fans of the first game believe that the game changes too much and the game has distanced itself from its roots. However, Darkest Dungeon 2 is a very well-crafted and valuable title that is undoubtedly worth a try. Like the first game, Darkest Dungeon 2 is a turn-by-turn role-playing with roguelike elements. Like the previous version, the game puts you in very challenging and sensitive situations that you have to go through with the right choices. The graphical style of the game is very beautiful and unique, and this makes the audience's eyes not tired of seeing its scenes until the end of the game. If you're a fan of games with a mythical and dark mood and are looking for a challenging game, Darkest Dungeon 2 has been made for you. Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter World was one of the best 8th generation games created and released by Capcom. After the impressive success of that game, Capcom released the 6th major game of the series, Monster Hunter Rise, exclusively for the Nintendo Switch console, to increase the value of buying this popular handheld console. Of course, this January title will also be released for PC, and since Capcom has also used its famous engine, Re-Engine, to build this game, we expect a high-quality, well-colored game. One of the positive changes made to this version is the addition of Grappling Hook, which allows the gamer to climb levels and obstacles. This change has affected the entire gameplay of Monster Hunter Rise, and even the extension, Rise, somehow refers to this gameplay mechanism. Anyone who has experienced the Monster Hunter series knows that the gameplay of this series is very fluid and addictive, so if you have the platform to experience the game, don't neglect it. Tales of Arise. If you're a fan of role-playing style, you've undoubtedly heard of the Tales series. The series, which has been produced and released by Bandai Namco since 1997, has now become one of JRPG's very big names. The new game of the series, which was released this year as Tales of Arise, is another very good version for this old series. The number of positive reviews and high scores of this game is incredible, and there is no doubt that you are on the side with a top-notch role-playing game. The game, which has been released for the 8th and 9th generation platforms of Sony and Microsoft as well as PCs, is a combination of all the positive points that you were looking for in a role-playing game. The story of this game is impressive and beautiful, and its gameplay will entertain you well. Now that the 2021 Game Awards for Best Role-Playing have also been awarded at the Game Awards, you might not be bad to experience it. Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And finally we get to the last game of the video, which you probably all expected to see. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is a series of remastered versions of the 3 major Mass Effect series released this year for PS4, Xbox One and PC, and received very positive feedback from gamers. Of course, the second and third versions of Mass Effect were also fully playable before this series, and it was the first version that benefited the most from this remaster. It's probably not a gamer who hasn't heard of the Mass Effect. The games in this series were not only very good titles themselves, but they also defined new standards for role-playing style. The second game of the series is one of the best games in history and a full-fledged masterpiece. In this game you will experience all you would expect from a role-playing action. From engaging gameplay, to influential story, sensitive choices and a sense of progress in the game, everyone is in Mass Effect. If you haven't experienced the games in this series, now is a good time to experience them with the highest quality. We'll get to the end of this list, but as always, we ask you to share your opinion about this list. What games are vacant on this list? Which titles have you enjoyed the most? I'm waiting for you in the comments section.